Hello everyone, it is Jenna here with some more exciting happy mail, this time from Germany. And this is a beautiful little handmade journal that I have been sent, which is part of a project called Justice, Peace, Imagination. And hundreds of journals have been released into the world, into the hands of different artists, for them to create a sketchbook filled with art on the theme of justice and peace. And I am lucky enough to have received one of these. Unfortunately, I've got it slightly late. I'm getting it I actually had it in September, I think, and it is now October, and it is due back in November. I think the original ones went out in June, so the idea was the artist had 4 months, but I have only got a month to get this all done and dusted, and there's a fair few pages in this beautiful little journal. So I have decided to take this journal apart, and it's a bit of a shame to have to do this, but the way that I am going to fill this journal in the first instance is to treat it like a masterboard. So I am going to take all the individual pages out. I'm going to stick them together to make one great big sheet, and then I am going to decorate that one sheet, and then essentially I am making one piece of art instead of making 20 pieces of art, which I can probably get done in a couple of hours. So this is a cheaty way if you find yourself in a situation where you want to fill a sketchbook or an art journal quickly. That isn't usually my way of operating. I would normally love to sit down and take a breath and invite God into my creative process and take my time and just use that time to be in the presence of the Lord. Usually when there's no time pressure, that's the way that I would rumble, but on this occasion, and maybe in your circumstance, you might be making a journal as a gift for a friend, perhaps, and you've got a deadline of Christmas or a birthday coming up, and you want to get a nice little pretty journal done, or at least started in this way. This is a way that you can do it. So I took the sheets apart. I used masking tape to stick them all together into a big sheet, as you can see now, and now I'm starting to decorate it. And the first thing I'm doing is adding lots of collage papers. I've got some maps, I've got some Bible pages from the book of Judges, because we're thinking on justice. I have got some vintage papers and some nice scrapbook papers, some transparent papers, so I'm kind of layering these, and they're going over the top. That one has little crowns on it, which I really like. It just reminds me of God's sovereignty and his ultimate justice over the earth. So now I've finished my collage background, I am going to add some paint. I've got some acrylic paint, some white paint, some metallic gold paint. You can use anything you like, anything you've got handy. And I'm using these straight over the top. I've used gel medium to stick down the collage, and I haven't even waited for it to dry. So these paints are just going straight over the top of what I've already done. And I don't know if you saw, but I'm actually working on both sides as well for speed. This isn't necessarily advisable, because actually the bottom side is inclined to stick to my underpaper. It's probably slightly better to work on one side at a time, but I wanted to, basically whatever I was doing to the front, I also wanted to do to the back in the same measure, so that these pages would really match when we eventually put them all back together again. So what do you think of, guys, when you think of the word justice? If I'm honest, I've been thinking about it, and I find the word justice really quite hard. Justice is something that I find is chanted in the world with a lot of anger and resentment and unforgiveness. It is where somebody wants justice, they are wanting to find the balance. You know, there's been a wrong done, and they want that wrong balanced out by the wrong somehow being felt by the perpetrator. Does that make sense? So that there would be a punishment that is somehow equal in weight to the wrong that has been done. And that idea of justice, to me, just leaves us in a place where we are continually at war with one another. Whether that be whole countries that are at war with each other, like the Israelis and the Palestinians, or whether it's, you know, my two daughters who are fighting about some kind of perceived unfairness in the house where somebody got slightly more dessert than the other. And does justice ever lead to peace, really? Can, you know, if somebody's done something terrible to you, like killed your husband or something, is any amount of justice going to make you feel better? I don't know. I think some people find that it does. But I think as Christians we believe that the only route to peace is forgiveness, which feels like a very different thing to justice. I'm not saying justice isn't important, but as Christians we are called to something extremely radical and different, and it's called grace. I don't know, folks, what do you think? If you've got any thoughts about what justice looks like from a Christian perspective, from a biblical perspective, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. That would really help me out as I attempt to fill this journal. Okay, so I have added some splatters. I've done a bit of printing with a loo roll there to get some nice white circles on the page. And I have let it all dry on both sides. And now I am going to cut it back into individual pages. And this is where the magic starts to happen. This was actually really difficult to A, find where the pages were, and B, to cut through all those layers of collage. But I did manage to get it back into the original pages. I then decided to add some stitching with my sewing machine to add some more interest to the pages. And you totally don't have to do this, but it's just another technique that you can use to add some texture and interest to the pages. And I also used some distress ink to ink around the pages so that they have this kind of vintagey vibe going on at the edges. And then once you're happy with your individual pages, it is time to put them back together again. So the original book was fastened with a 10-hole pamphlet stitch, so that is what I'm going to do, but I've got to remake those 10 holes, which I'm doing with an awl and a book cradle here, but yeah, you can use any sharp instrument, just mind your fingers. And then I'm sewing it back together. I'm using some waxed book binding thread, but again, you can use any strong thread. The wax just helps it slide through. And I was very grateful to the lady who actually made this book originally, who I will credit below in the description, because she had kindly put on Instagram the process for binding these journals, and she's made hundreds of these things, bless her. So basically you just do a running stitch, snaking your way from a middle hole up to the top, and then you snake your way back down again, filling in the gaps. Does that make sense? So you end up with stitches in every other section, and then you go back down, filling in the sections, just snaking your way up and then down, up and down. I mean, it's super simple, really. It couldn't be more simple. You can have a little think about whether you want your tails on the inside of the book or the outside of the book. I have left them on the outside in this instance. So yeah, it's quite hard to get through all those layers, and in fact I actually ended up leaving out a few pages. Shh, don't tell anyone, because that means I've got less pages to make as well in the short time that I've got left. But as you can see, what I'm going to end up with is a journal that has so much going on already that all I really need to do is add a little focal point, maybe some more collage, maybe an image, maybe some words, some Bible verses, and I will be able to fill this journal in no time because it's already looking great. I did decorate the cover as well slightly differently with slightly paler collage, as you can see here, just to make it different from the pages on the inside. So when you've finished and you've snaked your way back to the middle, you just need to tie off your thread in a nice tight double knot, and you can either cut off your tails or you can leave them dangly, and I decided to leave them dangly and add a few little charms to them to make them look nice. So I hope this is inspiring for you guys, and you've enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe, and you might get to see what else I do with this journal. I'm going to add, there's my little charms I was talking about. I'm going to add a title to the front that will probably say Justice and Peace, and then I'm going to fill these pages with my thoughts about justice, peace and grace and the Jesus way. And I would love any help you would like to give me in the comments below about your thoughts on justice in the Bible. So much lovely texture. Again, I've left these threads from the machine sewing, I've left them nice and loose because I like them that way, but you could cut them off. There's so much pattern, there's the metallics going on, the splatters. I think it's really fun already, and I don't need to do too much more. I just need to add that meaning. I need to spend some time with the Lord and figure out what it is that I have to say for this project. So thank you so much to the people who are organising this project. I will leave a link below to their Instagram, which is @justice.peace.imagination, if you want to see what the other artists in this project are up to. And I believe there's going to be an in-person exhibition of the journals in Germany in 2026. So if you happen to be in Germany, then maybe you might want to check that out too. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do support my channel for more videos about art journaling and faith. Okay, God bless.